Welcome, one and all. It's been a fuck it. I don't even know how to describe the past 24 hours. It's been absolute chaos. It's been up and down. It's been left and right. And I think that this is a period of time where it's been about 24 hours now since it's been over 24 hours since the whole Trent debacle. And we're going to go beyond the cop today and really look into what the fuck happened. Because this has been this is a period of time where we as fans should be able to celebrate our second Premier League title, our 20th league title, and we're having to spend it discussing someone who is not going to be at the club next season. I'm joined by Steve Plunk. You all know who Steve is, let's be honest. Let's not even mess around here. You know him from Red Men. You know him from all the content he's involved with. He's one of the biggest names that you can find out there in Liverpool content for opinions. And I just before we get into it, I just want to give a sort of this is a topic at the moment where there's a lot of people coming in and they're criticizing, saying how we should feel as a fan base, and there's a lot of people who have taken this into a sort of fuck Scousers, fuck Liverpool fans. The city in general is sort of getting a bit of a bad stick for this. I am a diehard Liverpool fan. I am a Scouser, and my accent might not say it, but I was born in Liverpool. I lived in Liverpool for 18 years. I moved away for family reasons. This city and this club are diehard to me, and it is the exact same for Steve, more so possibly. And I think that there are people out there who are turning this into something that it is not, and that is something against this city, against this culture, and they are making it into something sick and twisted, which it is not. This was Liverpool fans voicing an opinion on a topic. And Steve, I want to get your initial thoughts on this. Like, what do you make of the reception that Trent got, just to start off with?
Well, if I can, I'll address the bit you just said about the city. And this is why this has happened, because Liverpool has a siege mentality that you're kind of all in or you're just not. There's no in between. You're 100% with us or you're not at all. So when you've gone on television interviews and said, I want to be the next Steven Gerrard, I want to be a club man, I want to skip a Liverpool football club, I want to do A, B, and C, the Liverpool fans will hang on to that, the city will hang on to that. And then it seems as though in the last 18 months he's been with his agent, who is his brother, in cohorts with Real Madrid, organising the move away. And that's been topped off by the fact that within 24 hours or so of us finding out he's going, they offered us £1 million to end his contract early so he could go in the World Club Championship. That stinks. First of all, that stinks. That's really, really bad timing. And that's typical Real Madrid, to be fair. Situation for me is you need to understand the people of Liverpool as a whole, and you need to understand generations of Liverpool fans as a whole. So my generation never booed a Liverpool player ever. It didn't matter what they did, and I've seen it written that we booed Steve McManaman when he left for Real Madrid. We didn't. We didn't boo him at all, because he told us from the minute this was an option, I'm going to go, and that's where I'm going to go to. There was no sort of gaslighting us and saying I'm not going to play this out in public. I think we all knew that was a coward's way of saying, actually, I haven't got the balls to tell you, but the reality is, prepare yourself for me to leave.
Exactly.
So what you saw on Sunday, sorry, was an outpour of emotion from a city that looks after itself, realising one of their own is turning their back on them, and they haven't done it in the best possible way. So we'll get into the reasons why he might do it, but it's really important to have some context to understand the nature of the city and why we feel like we feel, and why people in the ground, and I understand why they did it, booed the lad. I could never do it because that's not how my Liverpool Football Club was built. Bill Shankly would have been turning in his grave seeing that, because it's just not something we do. But unfortunately, mate, it's an indictment of society today. Social media has given everybody an opinion, a platform to say what they think, to have an opinion, whether you like it or whether you don't. And unfortunately, 10,000 maybe in the ground, I don't know, maybe more, decided they need to let him know they're not happy with what he did. And they booed him. And they'll probably do it again. Mm-hmm. You can't knock people for having their opinions. You can, if you stop for a second and think about it, understand the fabric of the club and think, that's just not what we do. Because every single rival fan base is piled in, as you started at alluded to it at the top of the show, every single fan base has piled in and said, supposed to be proper football fans, knowledgeable football fans. What's that?
Yeah.
You know, we know Arsenal fans booed Granit Xhaka away at Crystal Palace. So we don't need to go down that road to say that it doesn't happen, because it does. Zexi was booed by Man United fans. It's
Now
the
got booed by
21st
United
century.
literally a few years ago. Every fan
Yeah,
base has at least a player or two that they have booed in their past.
correct.
And if you go
Correct.
to every club in the Real Madrid have just given their players shit because they lost El Clasico. Every single club has an example of doing it. And I agree with you that this does not represent us as a club. We are not a club who will turn our back on players. We've had people like Paul Konchesky, we've had people like Sean Dundee, Bruno Shearu, El Hadji Diouf. We have had dog shit players in the past, and they still have not received that level of reception. And I believe that Trent should have had our opinions heard. We deserve the right to be able to do it. But I think if people are going to boo the player, do it when the name is read out at the beginning, do it when he first comes on, and then be done with it. Not to the extent where it was, and it became a detriment to the entirety of the team, because ultimately we watch this club,
You know what's
we
mad?
want to see us pick 3 points.
Do you know what's mad? He stood over a free kick, and I thought, what are they going to do if he puts this in the top corner? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Like
Mental.
you can say more by doing less, and I think if he had received a sort of a silent reaction when he came on, if he'd have been there and he got nothing, or I think, like, what did you make of the whole Conor Bradley and Steven Gerrard chance? Because I think that was the perfect way to get the opinion heard rather than booing him.
Yeah. So did Arnold Slot, but Arnold Slot thought exactly the same. It's interesting that quite a lot of the lads within the club have come out and said, you've made your bed, you've got to lie in it, and you will hear people's opinions. It is what it is. Get on with it. He's a big boy. He's made his mind up. He's going to go. I thought that was that would be typical and synonymous of Liverpool Football Club, to let somebody know without letting them know directly that what you're doing means we can't sing these songs about you. That's all that was. That's exactly what that was. And then praising his replacement, praising Conor Bradley as if to say, it's okay, you're going to go, but we've got him and we're going to sing about him. That's the right way to do that.
And I suppose that's something that we've not been able to have in the past, because, like, when McManaman left, like you said, there was no sort of, obviously there was Jamie Redknapp at the time, like Danny Murphy arrived. I think the summer he left, the summer before he joined in '97. Am I right in saying Danny Murphy? I've been doing all this recently, but like there was no sort of. It didn't feel like there was a natural successor. When Suarez left, it was like, oh, fucking hell, we're in the mud. This whole scenario is like Trent is leaving us at the peak of our powers, but we have someone there ready to take over. And I'm by no means saying that people can't have an opinion. There is no right or wrong opinion. If you want to boo Trent, boo Trent. If you want to cheer him, do whatever you want. I think it got to a toxic point, and when you're able to split the fan base as much as it is. Like, I put a poll up on YouTube, and I think it was 258 people voted, and it was bang on 50-50 as to whether people agreed with the booing or not. And he's managed to become such a polarizing figure that it's split the fan base down the middle. And at that point, it has to become a no-brainer that he should not have been in that squad, and he should not have been featuring. Like, was that a bit of... Do you think there was a bit of naivety there from Slot, or do you think he didn't expect this kind of level of reaction?
There's a very, very fanciful Liverpool account out there that posted on Sunday night. He heard that Slot had done that to remind other players in the squad, this is what happens when you behave like this, which would be wild to think like that. But conversely, it will do the job. I don't think for 1 second that he did do that, but it will serve a notice to everybody else that if you're going to play with the emotions of a football club and its fan base, you are likely to get this. I don't think he needs to be involved in any more games for the rest of the season. So, can you imagine? Can you imagine Trophy Lift Day? He does his trophy lift and they boo. We've waited 35 years to lift the Premier League in front of fans, and it should be a joyous occasion with no exception. That will be an exception to some people, and probably more so than coming on as a substitute. Like, Why are you lifting the Premier League trophy? You've decided you don't want to be a Liverpool player. You don't have the right. And who am I who are you to tell people they can't think like that? But sometimes you can think things without saying it, mate. And like you said before, it's to the absolute detriment of the team. I don't think we're taking the games towards the end of the season particularly seriously. And that's a different conversation and not something I'm comfortable with. But it was to the detriment of the occasion. That's a title winners' party. That first half was amazing. The atmosphere, incredible. We came out in the second half and left whatever we were doing in the first half in the dressing room and didn't really turn up. And then that added fuel to the fire in terms of a little bit of frustration because Arsenal got back into the game when all of us wanted them dead and buried, and rise the king, long live the king, and all that stuff. So I don't think it was a wise move putting him in there. It would probably be better putting Joel Quansah at right back, which I hate, by the way. But I actually think it might have been better doing that. I don't want to see Trent. I'd put him on garden leave, mate. I'd put him on leave for the next 2 or 3 weeks and not have him around the club because it's not helping anybody. It's not helping anybody. In actual fact, it's a distraction, and it's what it's doing. It's bringing into question Arne Slot's decision making, which all season's been exemplary. And this should not be the sort of the thing that we remember at the end of the season, how we handled Trent Alexander's exit. We should be thinking how we won the league at an absolute canter, and let's enjoy it and celebrate that. But there's a caveat in there. It's a negative one, and it needs to go away.
Exactly, but this is the thing though. Like, there are people out there who are saying, "Oh, poor Trent, he shouldn't be getting this reaction." He's done it to himself. He's made the decision. He is the one who 1 minute is saying, it's my dream to play for this club and win everything. It's my dream to captain this club and win everything. And then he's saying, it's my dream to play for Real Madrid. And I think this narrative, and as much as I love him, I am going to sort of name Jamie Carragher for this. Not that he's going to give a shit what I'm saying, but he's 1 minute he's saying you can't tell Liverpool fans how to feel. But then he's turning around and saying, well, the Liverpool fans shouldn't boo him. Absolutely fine. If you're gonna, like I said, people can do what they want. It's not really my opinion, but I don't buy into this thing where it's suddenly where he's trying. He knows what he's doing, and I don't know what reaction he was expecting. For over a year, we have been offering him contracts. For over a year, he has been in talks with Real Madrid. He has been discussing things. He's been talking to Bellingham. He's been posting things on his Instagram. He's saying he loves the club and doesn't want to leave. He wants to captain us. Then he wants to leave. And it's the manner of which he's done it. And booing is creating bad vibes. It absolutely is. We were singing Federico Chiesa's song at halftime, and he wasn't even in the squad. It was a party atmosphere. We've won the league. This is a match which did not matter other than bragging rights. Arsenal gave us a guard of honour. That should be the main talking point, not the fact that Trent is coming on and the whole thing is getting spun around into this sudden... it's a hateful atmosphere, and that is not Anfield. Anfield is anything but a hateful atmosphere unless it's through opposition teams. And where does this rank? Because obviously you've been watching Liverpool for far longer than I have, and I want to get your thoughts. Where does this? I feel like I've just called you up. I really haven't. But where does this sort of rank with in comparison to the Steve McManaman transfer? Because people keep making the link, but I do my research and I do them for topics on this channel, but I don't feel like that ever got the level of criticism that this did in that regard. But I might be wrong. Am I or?
No, it's mad. It's mad that you should say that because there's a couple of things to add to this point. And I'll start by saying under Jurgen Klopp, everything revolved around Trent. Everything came through the right back position for 6 or 7 years. So he was main character syndrome, 100%. And you can't help but feel that as a player and grow from that and feel confidence in that. Under Slot, we don't play that way. We don't play through the right back channel in the same way that we did under Klopp. There's the different elements to the game. The transition's different. We switch the ball a lot more. So maybe he feels pushed out a little bit by the fact that it's not all geared around him. With regards to the McManaman, when Steve McManaman left Liverpool Football Club, Steve McManaman was the best player in Liverpool Football Club. And if you sat and asked every single fan on the last day of the season, who is the most important player in the team, and they didn't know he was going to Real Madrid, and they gave you an honest answer, they'd say, well, it's Steve McManaman, because he's an outball, he can carry the ball 50 yards, he's creative, he scores goals. He's ridiculous. There's nobody else in the Premier League that really does what he does, and they didn't.
Yeah.
But because he was honest and he said he wanted to go, and because we went in the 21st century with anxious fans who get together on platforms and all manifest each other's anxieties and then scream and shout about them, you don't get that. You don't get that reaction. There would be people who are fed up. There would be one or two grumblings around the ground. This season, Trent's not in the top 5 most important players on the side for me. I think if you ask for the top 5 players this season, he doesn't make the 5. And that might be due to a little bit of distraction about what's going on and not being able to focus the Man United game. It turns out that was straight after he'd made the decision. So in terms of context, it's not surprising his head had gone, and he was absolutely terrible, because there's no way he should have been on that football pitch having come out with that news and then thrust into the biggest game in English football with all the spotlights and the cameras on him. Crazy.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know what? Just before you carry on, that's another thing that really annoys me, is the fact that he will come out and he will say, I give 100% on the pitch. You fucking didn't that day, because your head was turned by Real Madrid, and he said himself, I do not remember that match. So do you either give 100% or do you not? Because you can't, this is the thing, like there's a comment that says, this is the thing that annoys me about the situation, is that he strung us along, and that's the thing that hurt the most. And that game is that feels like the pivot point where Trent sort of went, I'm going. But like you perfectly said there, McManaman owned up to it.
I'm going to do what you said. You said to me off air, if I don't agree with something, we'll debate it. I'm not sure he has strung us along. He hasn't said anything, and that's what's pissed us off, because he's not actually come out and nailed his colours to a mast until deep into March, early April, when he decided to tell us. So I think he's tried to be cute, and it's backfired big time because he hasn't said anything. As a city, we like honesty. Yeah, that was directed at the fans. We know that now, don't we? Yeah. As was taking the shirt off and throwing it on the floor and shouting, "Hey!" Yeah, that was also directed at the fans. But he's trying to be clever, and as a city, we like honesty in terms of speak your mind. One thing about Scousers, if they've got something to tell you, you do something they don't like, they will tell you. That's just how it is. Yeah. So yeah. That's us now saying we're not happy with him and the way he's conducted himself. I don't think he has strung us along. And let's go back a little bit, right? So here's a young lad taken from the stiffs, the Rezzies, thrown into the first team by Jurgen Klopp. He owes everything he's ever accomplished in football to Jurgen Klopp. Absolutely everything. Jurgen Klopp left the club in the summer. It's like taking your dad away. It's like a situation where you think, Christ, but what am I going to do now? He's gone. I owe that man everything. Trent probably only loved his dad more than he loves Jurgen Klopp, in terms of the things he's given him. Yeah. He's gone. So he's now a 2-time Premier League winner. He's got a European Cup. He's got 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, and so on and so forth. And he's looking at it thinking, this isn't what I recognise, and I've got an opportunity to go somewhere else. He's handled it appallingly, right? Let's put that out there before your chat goes wild and people start saying, no, because he has handled it appallingly. But if there was a time he was going to go, it would have been when Klopp decided that was it. But when Klopp renewed his contract, people saw that as a possibility that Trent would do the same thing and mirror him and stay. But they've organised a 4-year contract instead of a 6-year contract because they knew this day was coming. And you can't get away from the fact his brother wants to be a super agent and negotiate the free transfer to Real Madrid. Is a wonderful, wonderful transfer for someone who wants to play on the top table of football agents. So there's lots of different factors. I don't think Trent feels like it's his club now, because Linders, Achterberg, Klopp, the Brain, all those guys who developed him and brought him through are no longer at the football club. It's really difficult for somebody when that happens, because all he's ever known. So if there was a time he was going to move, this was going to be it. This was dangerous. But he's not covered himself in glory. What he's done is he's showed the fan base a distinct lack of respect. And that's why you're getting what you're getting at the weekend, when thousands of them will tell him how they feel. And that's it. But there has to be context behind why he's done what he's done. And as soon as he said in that interview, I want to go and win Ballon d'Ors. That's it. You know what he's doing because you don't win Ballon d'Ors playing right back for Liverpool. Simple.
I think this comment that's saying he walked out on a free is what Liverpool fans can't forgive. As time has gone on, I think I've swayed away from that being my opinion because I don't think you can put a price particularly on. I can't really explain this without sounding like an utter tit. But what I mean is, I'm more bothered about the fact that if you'd have asked me at the start of the season, out of Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk, who is the one who you think is nailed on to sign a contract? Who's the one that you're most confident about and would want to keep? I said Trent. I said it on Redmen multiple times. I said it on the transfer room. I said it here. I was convinced he was going to be the one to stay, and I thought that Salah was going to be the one to leave. And since then, you've got this lad from Egypt, Mo Salah. You've got Van Dijk from the Netherlands, who understand more about what it means to represent this club than a local lad in Trent who has grown up through the system, has won all he's won. Cannot take that away from him. He's a legend. We cannot take that away. But they understand what it means more. Salah faced the media head on and said, "This is my last game against Man United. This is my last game at Goodison Park. This is my last game at Old Trafford. I want a new contract." Van Dijk has said all the right stuff, and Trent has tucked his tail, hid off, and cowered from it all. And he's done one post-match interview, which I think was against Brentford, and since then, all he's done is give it this and the shirt, and that's it. And I think that's the thing that irritates me the most. If you can't be passionate and you don't believe, you can't stand by what you're saying and what you're projecting out to people, then fine. But we've got to this point. This is the consequences of what happens when you do that. And Van Dijk today coming out and saying that I think him and Slot have handled this whole situation perfectly. Yeah. Bar yesterday, him coming on the pitch, I think the way Slot's handled the media, I think the way Van Dijk today has said, for me, there's nowhere else to be. Perfect. That's what we want to hear because we are a loyal fan base. And say what you want about that, and people can laugh at it in the face and say, "Oh, well, you're booing your own player." That's absolutely fine. We are booing him because he has shown us as much respect as I show my dinner. He's decided to leave us, and that's the big issue we've got. He's the local lad, and he made a career of that. I'm a normal lad from Liverpool whose dreams just come true. Great, you've achieved your dream, but there's still more to achieve with this club that should not change. Like, can you sympathise with him to a certain extent of, well, he has won everything and he might want to try something else and that it's his career, let him do what he wants kind of thing? Or like, do you think people who are saying that are just trying to delude themselves to an extent to sort of rationalise it?
I think in 2 or 3 years, everybody will probably see it that way when the dust settles a little bit. He was sat in this stream with you and I now, and he was trying to justify his move. He would tell you that he cost nothing and he's delivered whatever he's delivered in the time he's played at the football club. So it probably doesn't feel a massive debt of gratitude to the club. To Jurgen Klopp, yes, but he's more than contributed to the success. He's not the leading assist maker from defence ever for nothing. He's not the player that creates opportunities that no one else on the pitch can see, never mind execute. And he will tell you he's probably had the right to make his own mind up and make his own decisions, and I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. It's just how you articulate that to your fan base, how you come out like Klopp did and said, "I need to speak to you. I'm going to leave at the end of the summer." Like, we didn't boo Jurgen Klopp off because he covered himself with dignity and eloquence and just all the things that a departing legend of a football club should be. So from that perspective, again, having your brother as your agent might not be the most savvy thing to do, but who's advising him with his media or the lack of his media elements? If he'd come out in December and said, "Look, I think lads, I've had a great time and I love you all, but I think I'm going to go," we'd have had 6 months to process that, not like 10 days. And there's a difference there because the initial flames have died down and people don't need to, roar at him during a game and be very, very volatile towards him. And it might happen again. And my worry would be that, as I said before to you, 35 years waiting for a trophy lift, it could be tainted by doing. That is really, really not what we need to be doing. The Palace home game, last game of the season, that has to be what we saw when we won the title, when everyone stayed around the ground till midnight, but knocked up a few levels because there's a trophy there. We don't need a sideshow that undermines that, and he's guilty of that. He's guilty of that. But the club has to be held to questioning as well in regards to that, because they should have said, you can't do this, you can't keep making them wait, you can't leave it till 3 or 4 games before the end of the season before you drop a bombshell like that. We are going to win the league. The one thing you don't want to do when you go out the door is leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth that further taints your legacy, because you have a legacy. He is a legend of the football club. His conduct around his transfer is not legend-like, but he's a legend of the football club, and in years to come, his stats will be the thing that remain, and he'll move on and do whatever he's going to do. We'll change our shape, and we won't do everything to be right back. Conor Bradley will carry on gallivanting past Mo Salah, and he will help us to forget that we feel the pain we feel today over the way he's conducted himself, and he will. And if we sign Frimpong, at some point in the future, we will have a right-hand side in one game at least, where it's Bradley and Frimpong, and God help their left back playing for the other team, because you wouldn't want that, would you? So it's about understanding everybody's role in this. The club should have made him do it sooner. He should have been honest with us in December, because I think he knew a long time before he made his actual announcement to the football club. I think that's been really badly handled. 100%. He should have said it earlier. He should have told us. He should have given us time to, not to grieve, but to process it and think, because there's people out there who adore that lad, absolutely adore him, and he's burst their bubble. So that's on him. He's going to have to deal with that, and the way to manage that is to not include him in the match day squads until the season's over. What are we going to do? We're going to stick him on a bus and drive him around Liverpool for 1 million people to see him. What are we going to do with that?
I wouldn't want to be on that bus. I'd be off that quicker than anything. No, I look, I'm in complete agreement. And I said a few days ago, like, the trophy parade is the amalgamation of 35 years of win. I've seen us win, not including this one, I've seen us win 1 Premier League, and I got to watch it from my couch in my living room in lockdown.
Yeah.
There are fans like me who have not been able to celebrate league titles. There are so many people out there that for them, this is their big moment. And Trent being on that bus, lifting that trophy and being a part of it is going to taint it. And he's going to be there. Let's be honest. As much as I think it will taint it. At the same time, he should be there in a sense of, you've been a part of this team from day dot, you've won all this stuff as well, you've been a part of it, but I don't know what the reaction he was expecting was going to be, but we'll go into that in a second. There's a good few comments. Torres saying he joined Chelsea because they were a bigger club, but Owen signing for United were bigger slaps in the face, in my opinion. I don't know. I think the big thing with that is Torres, when he joined Chelsea, there was a sort of, we couldn't compete with Chelsea at that point. We'd just been through an awful period of time with Hodgson. Dalglish had just come in. You could see that things were in a decline. You could we got 50 million for someone who wanted to go to a then bigger club, in the sense of we just couldn't compete with them. They were winning silverware every season. They were in Europe. They were getting the best players. Owen going to Madrid, I mean, he ran his contract down, and like that one, to be fair, it's the same sort of. I was speaking to John, Paul's dad, the other day from Redmen, and he said that Owen hurt more because it was a sort of, he was the first big academy lad that he'd seen in a long time, where he was like, oh my God, this is someone who could really be something, even more so than McManaman. Like, how did you feel when Owen made that move to Real Madrid at the time?
Owen was a strange one. Whilst he was clearly a world-class footballer, the fans never really took to him. There was something, I think it was because his competition was Robbie Fowler, who the fans had totally embraced as God.
Yeah.
And there was absolutely no competition to him. So that was a difficult one. Rafa Benitez was not a great man manager, as several players have come out and said afterwards, because he was a tactical-based manager as opposed to a people manager. Torres was weird. It was like one day someone reached in and found a button and just switched him off, and he stopped being a world-class centre forward. His injury was horrendous that he had, but it took a lot away from him. Liverpool allowed him to have a clause in his contract where he could leave for £50 million. and they were trying to reject it, and he had called his agent, called the club and said that he would like you to listen to Chelsea's offer. In hindsight, £50 million, great, because he never became a shadow of the player. For 2 years for Liverpool, he was the best number 9 in the world. He was totally unplayable. And here's the thing, Lewis, we've forgiven him, or at least I have. I know lots of people have forgiven him because there's been little snippets of things, and we knew the Liverpool regime at the time was struggling, so we've forgiven him. And in time, certain people will forgive Trent. They're different situations because we were crap when Torres left us. Let's be honest, we were right. You've seen one. I've seen 10 titles. I've seen 10 of them. So when we used to win, we used to come in on Saturday night and say, "What score did Liverpool win today?" As a kid, because it was like that. That's how easy it was, And that's not me being an arrogant prick. That's how it was. That's how football
No,
was.
it's true. It's
Liverpool,
true.
Liverpool played 8 Champions League finals in 10 years or something crazy like that. 7 finals in 10 years or something wild like that. 77, 78, 81, 84, 85, 5 and 8 years. There you go. 5 and 8 years. That's European football domination. So that's how it was domestically as well. So when the crap players like that leave, doesn't really matter. We got £50 million for him. Happy days. We've forgiven him. He comes back and plays in the Legends game and we sing his song. We've forgiven him. It'd be nice in some point in the years to come that we find a way to some degree, forgive Trent because he still is a Scouser. He's probably been guided the wrong way. He thinks this is a great move for him, and it might turn out to be that way. Why it hurts as well is because we're on the precipice of something big. We sign 2 or 3 of the right players, and we go forward in the way that you, I, and everybody who goes to the game, and everybody who watches them around the world, we go forward in the way we want to. We might win 3 or 4 of these in 4 or 5 years, which would make that an era in the Premier League where we have an opportunity to dominate. And he could have sown his name into the higher echelons of Liverpool Football Club history. He could have absolutely been up there with the with the Dalglishes, the Gerrards, Salah's in that conversation now. He's got the ability to be that guy. The lack of mental strength and how he's processed this, now he's dealt with this, and maybe that's the difference between Gerrard and Trent is that Gerrard had that siege mentality that this is my football club. That's what we wanted Trent to be. That's what we all really, really hoped he would be. And he tantalised us years ago saying he wanted to be that guy too. But I go back to what I said before. Everybody that he knew in that football club that gave him his opening, that gave him the love, that put an arm around him when he needed it, when England fans destroyed him, and he came back to the club, and a big teethy German manager there to give him a hug and say, I love you, we love you, and go again and be a world-class fullback. That's all gone from the football club. So, I said before, at the risk of repeating myself, if there was an opportunity where we should feel concerned, that was it. When Klopp said he was going, several of my friends said to me, well worth keeping an eye on what Trent does next. Look, we've lost Dalglish, we've lost Rush, we've lost them all, mate, over the years, and we've survived, and this will be no different.
Oh, no, like I said the other day, we've lost bigger players. We've lost important players. Like I said, Rush, Dalglish, McManaman left, Owen left, Torres left, and then we immediately signed Suarez, and then Suarez left, and we ended up with Ricky Lambert, Barini, and Balotelli. Like, we have seen worse. We're at a point now where 1 or 2 additions, and we are unplayable at moments. And we've lost 3 games in the league 3 games in the league this season, one of which was Nottingham Forest. Fair play, they were flying at that point. We didn't know what to expect, and it was early days of slot. Fulham was just a bad day at the office, and Chelsea, we'd already won the league. We're 1 or 2 players away from becoming the best team in Europe, arguably. And it's just a shame that Trent, despite seeing all this, despite going through everything and getting us to this point, it's still not enough for him. And it's one thing I really want to get your thoughts on, is because I think football nowadays is so self-image driven. It feels like players are brands, and you go back to like the Spice Boys days, and like David James is posing for, I think it was Armani, like underwear, and then you've got like Ryan Giggs at United becoming a big name player, Beckham, of course. The players became like such social megastars, and nowadays Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinicius Junior, Trent, I named 3 Real Madrid players there because that is what Real Madrid players become. They become brands. They become people who care more about their social media followers and how many clicks they can get for passes they make in matches and how many brands want to sponsor them. It's it's just for quite like lack of a better phrase, it is destroying the game. And I think that is a big reason why Trent has gone to Madrid, is for his own self-image and for his own social media development and to create brand Trent into this global star. Like we saw with Neymar is the best example of it. Do you think that it is becoming a bit of a poison in the modern game, this whole social media self-image sort of thing?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The first image rights that was written into a football contract was the beginning of the end, wasn't it?
Mm.
We've got a player in our squad now that is that in Mo Salah. Mo Salah's brand is huge. Mo Salah knows Mo Salah's brand is huge, but Mo Salah doesn't allow that to taint or guide him or misguide him in terms of what he does at the
Mhm.
football club. When he decides to go to Saudi Arabia, he will be the biggest Muslim athlete in the world, arguably. Right now, I can say that
100%.
without offending anybody because it's true. He'll be catapulted to riches that only he can dream of. Whilst he's at Liverpool Football Club, it's all about Mo Salah, the footballer. Mo Salah winning, getting records. He knows how many goals and assists he
Mhm.
needs to break the record. He knows how many goals he needs to beat the next person in the Premier League title because that's what he uses to motivate himself. So you can do one or two things. You can grow your brand organically through football and be an absolute world superstar and be the man that no one can touch this season. That's Mo Salah at the age he is. He seems to get better. Or you can submerge yourself in Galactico, Real Madrid type gossip, if you like, and go and do that. And we give him so many free passes because he's a local lad. He's had games when he's been absolutely appalling, and we've let him off because he's a local lad. That won't happen in Madrid. The White Hankies will be out and everything because they're not very shy in telling people how they feel. So he would need to improve his performances. He will need to become the footballer as well as the brand at Real Madrid. The brand will take care of itself. You're 100% correct when you say that. And he could have done that at Liverpool. We probably offered to make him, and if rumours are true, we offered more money than they did anyway. We probably offered to make him the face of Liverpool Football Club. Let's be honest, mate, he's a good looking lad, so why not? You know what I mean? Stick him up there on all the billboards, make him put Trent alongside the Liverpool brand and make it synonymous that the two go together.
Yeah.
That would have probably been the club's angle to try and keep him. And if it wasn't, it would surprise me. But they get wrapped up in themselves, don't they? They get too self-absorbed, and it all becomes about them, not the bigger picture. He's a world superstar footballer. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. He's been given that opportunity at Liverpool Football Club, and it feels a little bit like that's kind of been thrown back in your face in the way that he's handled this. And again, that will be why we saw the reaction we saw. But you'd like to think for the good of the last game of the season that what they'll do is just not acknowledge it rather than do it. That would be what I would hope for. And if I was a prominent figure in and around the football club, like the manager, I might come on my press conferences and say, just remember, that's about the other lads in the squad as well. We don't need that. We don't need to see that. We don't want to hear that. We want to celebrate on the day. Yes, you've said it. You've made it clear. You'll say in your social medias and all that how you feel. But remember, there's 24 other lads that are playing a part in that, and the ball boys and all that. You saw dancing with the goalkeeper and Robertson. That's their day. Don't let it be tainted by a poor lack of judgment. It is what it is. We'll move on. But yeah, you're right. He's become very very aware of who he is and what he is. And some high profile girlfriends and going to Monaco and dungarees and stuff like that. They're not. They're not. You wouldn't see Kenny Dalglish doing that back in the day. We know life's moved on and the world's changed, but those guys became world famous on every television across the globe because of what they did at football, not because of their brand. And it worries me. You're right. It worries me that we see more and more of that.
Um, we got him for free, and he helped us win Prems and European Cup. Didn't get him for free. We promoted him through the academy and gave him everything. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are sort of focused on at the moment.
Yeah.
Steve Nichols said that the booing was a disgrace. He was furious. I mean, I'm not someone to argue with Steve Nichol. I won't lie. But I, like I said, I think it was the level of which it reached where you're booing every touch that he makes. That was the thing that just got me a little bit. That made me uncomfortable. And I was watching Steve's thing before, and Redmen, he was saying that the whole thing made him uncomfortable. I agreed with the boos that he got when his name got read out, and I agree with the boos when he first initially came on. But then at that point, you've got to get behind him because he's playing for your club. He's trying to contribute, and he did contribute to a draw, as in we conceded a goal, which wasn't amazing. But it is what it is. I've seen Trent do it before, and you've got to think that the boos and the reception he got definitely had an impact on this. It just sucks the way this is the story now. We should be celebrating it, absolutely. Not many players have left us and gone on to bigger and better things, and that's a really good point, actually. Like, there's very few players, especially in modern days, like Luis Alberto, Iago Aspas. Oh, got
There's two.
Shaqiri, Jordan Shaqiri.
There's
Like
two. There's two. There are only two. Luis Suarez and Steve McManaman went on to achieve
yeah,
bigger and better
Suarez.
things. Suarez was
Yeah.
ridiculous to Barcelona. They moved Lionel Messi from the centre to the right wing. That tells you all you need to know about that guy. And Steve McManaman won two Champions Leagues, including scoring in one of the finals. So, what more? He would be able to sit here and justify his move, as would Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else can. I genuinely don't believe anyone else can do that with any conviction.
Sterling. I mean, Sterling's a good shout as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. A good three. We'll give you that three. Yeah.
3.
I wouldn't want to speak to Sterling. That's the difference. I wouldn't want to have a conversation with him. So there's the difference.
I'm in agreement. I think I was going for the sort of the niche answers with Luis Alberto and Aspas, and even then, it wasn't bigger and better. They just scored more goals, to be honest, and actually got to play.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up in a moment, but like, there's a lot of people, I think, are just sort of. It does come down to just he's the homegrown lad, and the big narrative was, I love this club and I want to stay. And like, the way I'm looking at this is, I think, say if this was Curtis Jones, for example, who was in this same situation, there wouldn't be as big of a response. And I think it is a sort of, people are annoyed and upset because we know what Trent is. We know how good of a player. Like, he is, as much as the phrase gets thrown around, he is a generational player in terms of what he can do passing wise. I have never seen, I think, like, even Gerrard, like, there's a good number of players at Liverpool whose passing range has been unbelievable. Trent is unlike anyone that I've seen during my time in my 20 plus years of supporting this club. And I think it is more people are pissed off at the fact that we're not going to get to see him in a Liverpool shirt again, barring some sort of Ronaldo-esque escapade or Robbie Fowler escapade from years ago. But like, there is a part of me, like you said before, where I do think that in a few years' time, maybe you can look at it and think, what will he achieve at Madrid? He could have gone on. He could have done Gareth Bale levels of success at Madrid. If that is the case, if he does go on to achieve that, will there be a sort of part of you that says, good on him, it worked out? Or say if things go backwards for us, or we don't reach the same heights that we're reaching now, touch wood, because we know we're going to. But like, would you be more pissed off at him for leaving at that instance?
I think I would consider myself as quite fatalistic. So my response to that would be, once he walks out the door and goes and plays his first game for Real Madrid, I don't really care. I won't watch Real Madrid because Trent plays for them. That doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, once he makes that move and goes elsewhere, I don't really want to know. I'm not really interested if he wins a Champions League or a Ballon d'Or. So what I would be too interested and too worried about supporting the guy that plays in his position when he leaves. For 6 or 7 years now, we've been fed the Trent glory days, which they are. He's been absolutely sensational. He's been doing things from right back that centre midfielders can't do. You're quite right with regards to that. So we've sat and watched this guy be put on a massive pedestal and be the sort of creme de la creme. What we're doing is we're giving away our crown jewels for free, essentially. That's the way it looks to a lot of people. And yes, he's had an indifferent season this season under a new regime and a new system. But basically, the crown jewels are leaving and we're not getting anything for them. And that's the bitter pill that people have struggled with. The timing of Jurgen Klopp's announcement he was leaving meant that all renewals were put on hold because they had to find a manager. Then when they found the manager, that manager had a very small window of opportunity to prove to players that actually this can work. And the best way to prove to players that this can work is to go and win the league, which we did. And
Yep.
I always thought Van Dijk and Salah would sign. I don't agree. You had a point. You thought it was Trent. I always thought Van Dijk was most likely to stay. And Mo Salah just wants to play at the highest level he can for as long as he can before going and making trillions of pounds in Saudi. And he'll deserve that when that time comes, by the way. So with regards to that, once it's done, it's done. Go and do whatever he wants to do. He wins 5 Ballon d'Ors in a row. I couldn't give a toss, mate. I want Bradley to rise to the top and be the right back that he looks like he could be. It gives us a little bit more in terms of he goes around the outside, he gets to the byline, he pulls balls back. Pulling balls back from the byline in the last 10 years under Manchester City have been the hardest thing for the rest of the Premier League to deal with. So when you get around the back of people and you pull balls back into the area, you create havoc. That's something we haven't had before. We're going to get that. And we'll get that Frimpong signs because he'll do exactly the same. So I kind of want to look forward rather than backward, mate. And I will look at this and think, you know what? He was a wonderful footballer with special talents and really good to have seen him play. There's things he's done. We've all just gone, wow, just jaw-dropping moments. But we have a jaw-dropping moment now because we can't believe the disrespect that he seemingly has shown the football club. So, like me, there'll be lots of Liverpool fans, probably fans of my age, that will go, okay, he's gone. We'll just get on with it. Get and that lad wearing the 84 shirt, he's our right back. He's the guy. But from the moment that he's gone, he's not got a contract with Liverpool Football Club and he's a Real Madrid player. He will mean very little to most of the fans in there. And we will get behind the lads to the left. And we will get behind the slot thing that he's doing. And with we said before, both of us, with possibly good recruitment. Look, we got rid of Ian Rush, and the next year we did the double. You know? So it's not like it doesn't happen. This is not the end of the line for Liverpool Football Club. This is going to leave a bitter taste in our mouth for a while. But like I say, once the contract comes for the new players, the season starts. You know we've got playing in the right back position. We'll just switch our allegiances to those guys. It's always been like that, and it always will be like that, and I'm okay with it.
No, I'm not still crying that Coutinho left. Like it is one of those things you get over it, and hopefully, I say hopefully, like I just don't want him included in the team again. And we are going to shoot in a second. I just want to get through a couple more of the comments, just give people a bit of a thing. It was devastating with Coutinho left, but we got better. We did. We got some shiny new toys in the divorce in the form of Van Dijk and Alisson and Fabinho. The other players may get spooked long term by Trent's treatment. You said that before perfectly, and I agree with that. I do think that is a bit of a sort of an omen because in my lifetime, I can't think of another instance where this level of obviously Gerrard when the whole Chelsea saga was going on, but I was quite young then, and you don't sort of have a grasp of it at that point. You're just like, oh no, don't go. But this is the first time in my life where I can really recall it being like a vicious atmosphere towards an individual player. Don't get me wrong, I love Salah, of course, but did Mo make Liverpool or did Liverpool make Mo? The same goes for Trent. The badge on the front of the shirt is more important than the name on the back. 100% agree. I mean, did we make Mo? I don't really. Yeah, that's a bit of a debate for the future. But
we created an environment for him to flourish, right? But you can create that team, you can create that formation, you can create that style of play. Then it's down to the player to roll their sleeves up and say, "I'm on board, and I'll show you. If you give me that environment to work in, I'll show you who and what I am." And he's done that. We thought he was a 1-season wonder. He's an 8-season wonder and still counting, isn't he? So. He's more than stepped up to what we gave. He's more than used the tools we gave him. More than done that. So, I think it's a two-way street there.
Yeah, I mean you've got to give them the positive atmosphere to like. That's why he didn't do well at Chelsea because Chelsea then was not the right environment for him, and he's came here and he's absolutely flourished. And Trent has as well, but we have come to the end of Trent's at Liverpool. We know that. It's time to move on, like you said perfectly, Steve. And yeah, we are going to shoot, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, Steve, for coming on as well. Really, really do appreciate it. If everyone could follow Steve on Twitter, please do so at Steve Plunk on Twitter. You know who he is. Don't pretend like you don't. You obviously know who he is. Redmen, a lot, BBC Radio Merseyside when he appears on that as well. But yeah, thank you very much, Steve, for coming on. Thank you everyone for getting involved. Make sure to click like and subscribe. We're almost at 5,000 now, which is absolutely mental. So everyone get involved. And yeah, see you all for the next one.